We are live, everybody. Welcome to Wessex Ways podcast. Episode, what are we at? Hedley 7?
We are on episode 7.
Episode 7.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. I start then. I'm Hedley Thorne, aerial historic landscape photographer. Got that right this time. And who are you, Paul?
Yeah, I am Paul Whitewick, and I make videos about all kinds of old routes from railways and canals and Roman roads and put them on YouTube. That's us in a nutshell, basically.
Let's roll the title music.
Hey!
Fun.
That's really useful, Hedley, because normally I just stick the music wherever I can find a gap when I was talking. So the fact that you pressed the button today, it saves me a job when I edit this podcast later.
I'm full of good ideas. There we go.
So episode 7. This is very exciting.
Let's get started. So start with what are we going to talk about? So start with you.
Well, I mean, this is the interesting thing. So Hedley has told me, because I know. So the premise is, for all you good folk listening, I normally edit. Hedley does a lot of the planning and comes up with a lot of the waffle, which is fine. But as I'm editing this, I don't know what the video is going to be called because Hedley's kept that a bit of a secret, which will come to light soon, I'm sure.
Well, I know. The people viewing or listening know is just you.
Yes, this is such a weird. I'm struggling to get my head around this.
I've only done this for one reason.
Yeah.
It's because I want to see what you're like when you haven't got full control over what you're recording.
And this is a weird position where I'm the only person on the planet right now, this second, that doesn't know what this video is called.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. My life is, at worst, a lot of bullet points, at best a fully scripted video.
Yes.
And someone comes to me and says, "Oh, yeah, that video you did a couple of months ago on such and such. Well, where's the so and so?" And I'm like, I haven't got a clue, mate. I'd have to look at my notes again because from one week to the next, I'm at any one point researching, editing, promoting a different video. But I'm game. I'm game. I've got loads to talk about this week. Lots of little bits, shall we say? Okay. I've not got a main topic today, other than lots of little bits and pieces. But
what we could do is we could say maybe what we've been up to, and then we can go into your bits, and then after that, we can have a little bit of a game where I see if you can. We'll do a hot or cold on a map of Britain.
I like this.
You can find where my subject's going to be.
Okay. So, I mean, this could be a regular feature. If this goes well, Hedley,
couldn't it?
To be fair,
one of those.
If it goes badly, it could be a regular feature.
It
goes well or bad.
It could. We'll have to keep secret where we're going and with our topics, and then actually I can see that becoming tedious quite quickly, to be honest with you, people switching off already.
I mean, here's a question for you, Hedley. Where have if I tell you what I've seen today? I mean, this I'm throwing the game back at you immediately. If I tell you, you may know if you've seen my social media, but if I tell you what I've seen today, you can guess where I've been.
Right, well, I haven't seen your social media today because I've been struggling with a bit of picture editing that's resulted in me being off social media for most of today. So,
okay, that works.
Give me a clue.
Right. Your first clue is a railway. That's not much of a clue. I don't expect you to guess. A live railway. I crossed... how many times did we cross a live railway? Probably twice today, but crossed in a legal manner. I don't mean we crossed it officially.
Yeah.
That's clue number one. That would be like 1,000,000 points, Hedley, if you get it from that. Number two, we climbed a barbed wire fence legally. That's another poor
I love the fact
clue.
when you describe what you've done, you have to put the word legally after everything. You've made it in life when, you
have to make a disclaimer about where you've been.
Yeah.
What else? All right, okay. Let's give you some proper clues. I don't want to use the F word because you'll get it straight away. I think if I use the F word,
that's not legal. It depends which F word.
It does depend.
This is a tasteful podcast, so.
Okay. We saw a mansion that was no longer there. The owner of the mansion was killed in an accident in 1789. I think it was 1780. We also there's two clues I can give you, which you'll get it instantly, but I'm avoiding giving you those. Let's think of another clue. Close to the middle. No, that'll give it away as well. Yeah, close to the middle of Wiltshire.
Mm-hmm.
What else have we got that could work as a clue? No, I'm gonna have to go straight in with one of the bigger clues. We tried to find a folly that no longer exists. There's your F word.
A folly that no longer exists.
Yep. Very close to a significant gem of Wiltshire where you have been yourself recently.
Okay, so folly. So it's not Follywood near Urch font because.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Look at that! I'm such a nerd.
I was concerned about using the F word there, the folly word, because that
Follywood. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I won't go into much detail
there.
because that's part of another video. But we did go up that the sunken lane, the gorgeous sunken lane.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you see the roots on the side coming down? It's wonderful. And do you know the story there of the headless horseman?
Wow. There's. I don't think I do know the one you're going to refer to. I think I know of another one, which is to do with the mansion. It might
be the same one. It's one about a crash where they were going down the lane you're talking about, and I think it was some sort of horse and cart that was out of control. Oh, maybe it is them.
If that's the case, that was the guy that built the mansion. Yes.
Now, Paul Timlett, again, I refer to Paul Timlett. I don't even think he listens to the podcast, so we can say what we want about him. But he and Glyn Coy took us on one of the hidden Wiltshire walks, and we went up there. Immediately fell in love with the place, and you can see why. And in fact, I'm exhibiting one of the pictures, and I think Anna's doing one of the pictures as well for our upcoming exhibition. And he told, I can't remember it because my memory is really bad, but he told us the story of, I think it was entitled The Headless Horseman. But yeah, I won't say any more in case it ruins a video you're doing. But I will also say that on the Hidden Wiltshire website, the story is there somewhere.
Yes.
So we can put the link in the Dewberry.
I mean, we're not going to mention the story as such in the videos. It doesn't matter too much. But it obviously is the guy that built that mansion, and he supposedly said to haunt.
Because it's in the woods, you can't see from that path. You can't see where it is. You've got the bridge over the railway at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then so if you're crossing over the railway on the bridge.
Yeah.
Uphill, the mansion I think was off to your right.
Yeah,
in the woods there. Yeah,
you can get very close because there is another pathway that's parallel. I don't know if you've seen that, but there is another sunken pathway or sunken holloway or whatever they're called.
You might have walked down that. It's not as sunken.
No, correct.
And it kind of goes down instead of going straight down the hill, it kind of tracks down the side.
Yeah,
I think there was a cottage on the left as you go down.
So that's where we've been today. The other sunken pathway as well. So we went up the sunken pathway, the famous one, and then back down the other one.
It's just what an area though.
It's
wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It feels quite remote, even though you've got a railway there and everything. But it feels really remote. I want to get a picture over that railway. It'd have to be a drone shot.
Yeah.
But if you zoom into the west, you can see Bratton Camp. And I think that if I sent a drone up and then zoomed in 7 times, you can get a lovely picture of Bratton Camp with the railway curving around below it. Yeah.
Yeah, the bar was closed today. Oh, I say it's closed. We spent ages there, and I just said to Rebecca,
really?
I've not heard
That's
one
the main
train.
GWR, isn't it?
Yeah. I said to Rebecca, I've not heard one train today. And then when we went down the other sunken pathway, we could see there was a maintenance, I don't know what they were doing, like tampering yellow train just sat there. And it was making a random noise. I don't know if they were sort of redoing the ballast part of it, but not a train in sight for hours that we were there today.
It was lovely. The first time I went there, it was middle of the summer last year, So it was one of those days when it was like 34 degrees, and even though you're going uphill through the trees, it was nice because of the shade. You'd been walking across the open fields, and we actually, there was an old what was it down there? There was another mansion down in the valley that had a moat, and
yes,
I remember Paul Timlett and Glyn Coy said, because I take the drone everywhere with me, obviously. They said, send the drone up and let's have a proper look at it. And it just suddenly, it's one of those things where you send the drone up and bang, everything comes to life and you can see.
I saw that on the map. That's on the north side, isn't it? It's almost if you're going back down that way and then take a sort of a northwest. Yeah, we didn't have time, unfortunately, but
was there noises from the firing range today up on Salisbury Plain?
Oh, goodness me. Really loud. Do you remember that
it's
time?
It's loud, isn't it?
Yeah, remember that time we went out and we did the middle of the Wiltshire video, and there was quite a few that day, wasn't there? It just felt so much louder today. I don't know why.
Well, it was loud when I went there with Anna a little while back, and it was really, really loud. But going back to the first, and I was actually flying the drone inside the Holloway there because I wanted to get some video footage and pictures. So you have to be really intricate with your flying in there.
Yes.
But we left there, and behind us it looked like fog pouring over the hill like a waterfall, which was really strange. So I sent the drone up to get some shots, and then quickly realised it wasn't fog. It's that Salisbury Plain was on fire. And what had happened is, I think the artillery practice in the 30-something degree heat had basically ignited the entire northern bit of Salisbury Plain.
Yeah, of course.
And as we were walking along, every bit we'd just been to was suddenly choked with smoke, and we got out of there pretty sharpish because my asthma. But
not good.
Lovely area though. Lovely area.
There was a lot of smoke today. When we got to the top of the hill, on the south side, you could see right across, and there was sort of smoke coming from across the vale. Again, not obviously, fire in terms of the heat of the summer, but obviously something they were doing of interest. But there was some loud old bangs today. Crikey, yeah.
It's the wind direction plays a big part, but you don't realise how powerful artillery is until you've heard it. Even there you're probably 2 or 3 miles at least from where it's being fired, but you can almost feel it, can't you? It's incredible.
Crikey, what else have we been up to? I've done a railway video. When did we last do this? We did this a week ago, didn't we?
We were a bit behind because I was away on holiday, and I think we're less than a week.
Less than a week, that's fine. So I'm conscious I don't want to repeat what we did last time, but obviously, I had a reasonable, video out with the GWR badminton line that I'd never heard of. And it's funny, there's some of the things that people pick up on. Somebody said, "Oh, did you record that on a Sunday morning?" And I said, "Yes." How did you know that? Because obviously I don't mention a date or anything. They'd heard some church bells in the background, which is fine. That's brilliant. Cool. But the funny thing was, this guy then analysed the sound of the church bells, right? Because he does church bells is his thing, and he did this whole like a spreadsheet of the different frequencies you get from the different bells, and he'd worked out that bell number 2. Because he went online, had a look at Coalpit Heath Church, worked out that bell number 2 wasn't playing on that day. I'm thinking, crikey, that's crazy, isn't it? But just a little quirky thing. That's Steve is a patron of ours, but little quirky thing that I thought was worth a mention.
That's brilliant. It's amazing how people can pick out things like that.
Yeah, everyone's got their little love of niches and things, haven't they?
Yeah. People pick out stuff in the background. I tend to do that quite a lot.
Sorry, go on.
No. Oh, you're having a drink now, so
I'll have a big slurp of water.
Let you finish what you've been up to first.
I guess that other than moaning about YouTube, because we had a sound issue with a video from the week before. So I spent a great deal of time moaning about the intricacies of YouTube and how that then upsets the algorithm, all sorts. So I've had a grumpy week with YouTube, but sort of getting back into the swing of things. Life on YouTube is a roller coaster, and you go through great phases, and then you go down a dip, and you have to just sort of you then tend to be really conscious about what you're putting out, and you get so caught up in it. And like, you know, today we sort of had all these discussions whilst we're out and about right, how's this going to work, and really trying to think about the edit and the quality. And
unless you're like me, when you've got about 20 followers, 19 of which are bots that you've paid for, and you can basically put out any old crap that you want and no one cares. I did have, no, that's not entirely true. I've got some,
you've got a few hundred, haven't you? I think on the channel.
Yeah, it's not. It's not quite on your lofty level, but it's what they are though. Are there people that are, they comment? You know, I get for the low amount of followers I have, the engagement is good.
Yeah,
and up until the point where I made a comment against someone who's clearly paid to be a Russian bot on another video, and then they basically visited my own channel and thumbs down everything. So just to ensure that I will always be a small channel, but that's fine.
Honestly, does that even make a difference really? If somebody thumbs down,
I haven't got a clue.
No.
But I think if it was my livelihood, then it would be, it would be almost a religious grade activity, cultivating my YouTube channel and trying to obtain perfection. But as it's not, videos are not my main thing, then it's a kind of a nice thing to do and sling the odd video on there. And
yeah.
I'm still in the happy early days of YouTube, where I'm content with my camera phone and I don't care about editing, that sort of stuff. But yeah, not for client videos. Client videos I take very seriously.
There you go. Yeah, of course.
Just put that in there because I do client videos. But
yeah, so that's my week in a nutshell. Basically, I say my last few days in a nutshell. What have you been up to, Hedley?
Not a lot, because it's only been a week, so
True.
Half of that's been taken up with working at the airport. I did a walk today with my youngest son up Lowry Hill. He's kind of getting into photography a little bit, so
cool.
Went out with a drone and everything, and came back, and his pictures were great. Mine weren't. So I've been wrestling a bit with editing today. Now, what you were saying about YouTube is the same for me. Posting pictures on social media, so I take my pictures very seriously, obviously, and when you don't get engagement on a picture or so, you think, oh, maybe that's a reflection on, maybe I'm not as good as I was, maybe my standards are slipping and everything. And so I'm getting a bit sort of like that, and I don't want to be like that, to be honest with you. But
it's tough, isn't it? It's really difficult. It's difficult not to do that.
Yeah, it is. And I visited my framer today, so I picked up some more pictures for both exhibitions I got coming up, which looks good. I made a big picture of Avebury. Really, really happy with that.
Yeah.
Lovely aerial shot of Avebury in its entirety, with Silbury Hill and Churrill down in the background, and Tan Hill, and nice and colourful and everything. And I didn't quite know how it would turn out, but I did some extremely fine editing in Lightroom, sent it off to Fine Art Printing, who do it for me. They printed it out, framed it up in white oak today, big A1 size, and I visited and they unveiled it for me, and it was just, I loved it.
Brilliant.
I absolutely love it. I'm almost feel like making two of those for but, so there's that, and I also framing my own picture as well. So I pay a company to do professional framing of my pictures and high resolution printing. And I thought, well, okay, that's fine. You get a lovely solid product, and etc. But obviously it costs money, so my margins are really small. So I thought, maybe what if I try doing one myself?
Yeah.
So go out, get the wood or the frame, and get the mount, cut it out, and all of that, and then get the picture printed online, a reputable place, and so far I'm winning, but there's a lot of work just going into one picture. And I don't know, see if I can turn that into a thing. But so Lowry Hill, went up the clumps as well yesterday, but I've been unfaithful.
I'd say you I heard.
Yeah, I went to another podcast, but to be fair, it was an impromptu thing. I went to visit my friend who does, well, Stuart Mabbott.
Yeah, Stuart and William.
Stuart and William Mankler, yeah. Stuart Mabbott and William Mankler, they're not a married couple. Might as well be by the way they bicker. But I would imagine at least Stuart is listening to this. So hello, Stuart. Hope you're well. Thank you for the other day. And so they record 4 podcasts at a time. Theirs are shorter than ours.
Yeah.
They've got a big listener base. They're quite a major podcast. And whereas I'm sitting here in front of a little laptop and a phone, you go there and all these big professional microphones come out, and they got a box with a red light on that I don't know what it does. And, they bring out it basically turns this room into kind of a studio, and it's like, wow, okay. And they were hitting some big topics.
Yeah,
they were hitting sort of topics that include things like race and pollution and environment and everything. I was like, wow, okay. So, but it was really, really interesting. And that was good. And I managed to get this podcast in there on 2 of the 4 episodes.
I mean, that's important. That's pretty,
the main thing.
I mean, it's almost a collaboration without us actually, without being there, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, and I'll extend that plea to our listeners, stroke YouTube watchers, is that I love what we do, and I think we're putting an effort into it and everything, and I really want to spread this and get people involved as well. Get more people asking us questions in the doobly-doo below.
I think in time it will. I think in time that will. I think I like the how we're definitely approaching this as a relaxed. For me, it's a break away from the YouTube where everything has got to be sort of one. Well, I need to get that line out and deliver that line perfectly, and then retake it, cut it even finer, and edit it down to the finest. So for me, this is a nice relaxed waffle. It
is just 2 guys waffling, and a few people listening, sort of thing. But at the same time, it'd be good, and we've had more people involved. Actually asking us questions, suggesting topics that are Wessex related, and such like that. That would be good. That'd be good. So just it'd be nice to grow this a little bit. I know we got listeners on Spotify and Apple and all of that as well. But obviously, on YouTube we also put pictures as well. So
yes, good. Indeed,
yes. Cool. So that's my week basically.
Super. Well, that sort of sums up what we've been up to, doesn't it? I guess. I mean, what else was I was going to no real topic for me today as such, other than to just go into a bit more detail about what we were doing today, but also without going into detail about what we're doing today. Yeah. If that makes sense. So I woke up this morning. I must have woke up like 4 o'clock this morning. I was wide awake. I don't know why. And I just browsed on my phone for 20 minutes to send myself back to sleep again. And I saw a tweet from Tim Dorr, and he copied me in. He said, "Oh, here's one for you, Paul." And it was a picture of a sign that someone had put up, and I'll read this to you. You've probably seen this sign, Hedley, from our previous conversation. But the sign reads this: big red sign, picture it, white writing, and the sign read, "Dead end, public right of way, no through route available." Like it's a big red sign, probably a good 2 foot deep and 1 foot wide. Dead end, public right of way, no through route available. Now that was
so. The public right of way, was that separate? Is that suggesting it is a public right of way?
Really good point. That's exactly the point I'm getting at. Absolutely, you've nailed the point. So it was. Did I take a photo? I'm not going to touch my phone because we're recording on my phone. To my mind, I think it was 4 lines. Line 1, dead end. Line 2, public right of way. Line 3, no through route. Line 4, available. No full stops. So you could read it in a number of ways, but clearly the way it was designed was very much aggressive. Stop, dead end. But it didn't. But when you read the sign, it doesn't say you can't go past the sign.
I got it.
You got it.
I got it. I've got Tim Dorr's Twitter up.
Now, have I read that right?
Dead end, public right of. Okay, so it's a bespoke sign. So what they've got
Yes.
is dead end public right of way, all equal in capitals in the same font.
Yeah.
So it should be.
Do you see what I mean?
Wow.
This is where it's absolutely crazy, and this epitomises what we were doing today. It really does.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Unless you read it vertically and it says dead public end right away. But sorry, but dead end, right? So that in isolation makes sense. Public right of way, dead end public.
Now, that sign is technically correct, because about 300 or 400 yards past that sign, let's say 500 yards past that sign, you've walked down that lane, because you just told me you did, because that's now a new sign at the top of the lane, the other sunken pathway. Right? That sign is technically correct, because the sign, it is a dead end.
Yeah.
In about 500 yards, although it doesn't say in 500 yards, it is a dead end. It is a public right of way. There is no through route available. So everything on that sign is correct, but it's written in such a way that you think, oh, I can't go down there, because it says,
So
yeah.
yeah, so basically there's two bits that kind of cancel each other out. So there's, well, not cancel each other out, but mean the same thing. So dead end also means no through route available. So why did they, if they got rid of the words dead end at the top, the sign makes sense. Simple as that.
Yeah, it does, but then it doesn't sound quite as aggressive, does it?
It doesn't, and don't put it in red with a white font, because that really is.
I think all you're missing is some kind of like skull and crossbones or something, like a toxic sign on there as well,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna now, you carry on looking at that sign, deciphering that sign. I'm gonna bring up Bing Maps for the pleasure of those watching the YouTube version of this podcast. And I'm going to go to my old favourite place, which is the Lead Road. The Lead Road, which went between Salisbury and the Mendips. And I'm going to go west of the Great Ridge Woods. And I'm right in the middle of the screen now, Hedley. You won't be able to see this.
Nope.
Is a restricted byway. Now, we did a video a long time ago called the footpaths that just stop. So back when they did the public rights of way and they mapped it, and they did the definitive rights of way, they mapped all of these pathways and routes, and we made a video where they stop, just randomly stop in the middle of nowhere. For whatever reason, there was reasons like they were persuaded by landowners to not put the pathway there, or where the change of use or the change of a boundary happened. And I'm looking at one particular one where it says Roman Road, and this is where whoever did the map at the time and they submitted it, they read the letter in where it said where the road is visible or where the pathway is visible. So, for example, what I'm looking at now, Hedley, is a 200-yard bit of a pathway where it stops on both ends. So this pathway is in the middle of nowhere. The only way to get to this pathway is via another pathway which runs perpendicular, but either end it just stops. Now, so we made a video about that probably 6 months ago, and we tried to find, I think at the time, 4 pathways that just stop. I'm back to the Roman amphitheatre. 4 pathways that just stop, and we wanted to get to the end of them and see what they look like. Now, out of those 4, 3 of them we couldn't get to the point. They'd already blocked the pathway. This is probably 6 months ago. So what you can do, you can go and you can, if you find one of these pathways, or if you find any pathway blocked, you can go and complain. You can complain to the local council. Wiltshire have got a really good app, actually, and you can do it all on the app. You can submit photos, you can submit the GPS, you can submit everything you possibly can to help their case of why this pathway has been blocked and how it's been blocked. But so we found that there are all these pathways, especially in Wiltshire and maybe more around the country, that they go to a certain area and they just stop for no reason. Now, this is so common. It's another thing. It's like the Mystery Islands, the islands that we did, the video we did, where you can't get to those islands. These pathways just stop in the middle of nowhere for whatever reason, and there's lots of people working behind the scenes to try and reconnect them because they were pathways that used to be, but because of boundary changes and parish changes when they recorded them, they said, well, we're not having the pathway, you can have the pathway in your parish way. So today we did a similar video to that, and we tried to find more of these random pathways, and again we had the same problem, and again I won't go into a huge amount of detail, but so yeah, the video was called The Footpaths That Just Stop. And I'll show you another example. If you go to devices, okay, I'm sure you know well, Hedley. Here we go on the map. Go to devices, head south from devices, and you'll find Pottern.
I'm struggling from slow browser syndrome.
So yeah, go.
Okay, devices. Yep, and
head south
below,
to Pottern.
Yeah.
Now head west to Wharton. Can you see a little village of Wharton?
Wharton Road. Wharton. Yeah, got it.
Right, now head another kilometre sort of southwest, and you got to Marston.
Marston, got it.
Yep. Now Marston, there's a track on the west of it called West Lane. Can you see that bridleway?
Okay, let me just change my layer. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
West Lane. What happens on your map with West Lane?
Hang on, it goes past a farm and then
keep going another half a kilometre.
Not a lot.
Right, it just stops.
Yeah, I was going to say
it just stops.
It's sort of abruptly killed off by a field by the looks of it.
So if you go to an old map, you'll find it. I think like 1890 sort of map. You know, the National Library of Scotland ones. That West Lane used to connect to Fulwood Lane over on the further west. So there used to be a pathway there. But now there's not.
And that's heading towards what looks to be an airfield.
It's heading towards, Keevil. But obviously that airfield, I'm guessing, is new. But nevertheless, Fulwood Lane used to connect to West Lane. And you can tell that because you look on the old maps and it says footpath. But it's been cut off by a parish boundary. So in that old video we made, we tried to get down West Lane, but we couldn't even get past the farm, because the farmers had blocked that lane off. So yet again, that was one of these few that we found where you can't even get to the end of those. And for the sake of boring everybody, I will show you one more example, Hedley. So you're going to get your OS maps again. And bring up, what do I want to say? Salisbury.
Yeah. I'm just zooming in on it now. Yeah.
Now, bear with for a second. I just need to get my bearings. Where are my bearings? Oh, I think I'm nearly there. Hold on. Oh dear, where are we? Salisbury. I've not got my bearings right today. Right, okay. Head up the Wiley Valley. So west of Salisbury, so northwest of Salisbury. Head up the Wiley Valley.
Yep.
And get to Steeple Langford before the A303. Got Steeple Langford?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Right. Then go to Hanging Langford, which is slightly to the west of Steeple Langford.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, it looks a bit hilly there. Yeah.
Bit hilly. And head on the road out of Hanging Langford to the west about 400, 500 metres, and you'll get to a pathway, a bridleway.
Okay. Yeah.
That goes south and crosses the railway.
Yeah, crosses the railway,
Yeah. Right. Once again, we thought, okay, that pathway goes up the hill and it just stops.
Yeah.
It stops at the 100 metre contour, maybe? Thereabouts.
Just literally nothing.
Yeah.
And I mean, further south, it looks like the hill drops away down Penning Bottom. Everything's bottoms in Wiltshire, isn't it?
Yeah, Penning Bottom. Yeah, it does. Now, on the old map, that pathway used to continue. And it used to go all the way up to Church Ring End and all the way down to the woods. But once again, we couldn't get down it. You can't cross the railway. The railway have decided that they no longer want that as a crossing and have blocked it off completely. So it's another footpath you can't get to.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So following on from Tim Dawes' tweet at 4:00 this morning that I read, I said to myself, right, okay, let's go and find some more of these. Let's go and do some more complaining, and let's have a look at what we've had a look at already and see if anything's been done, because we complained to the council about all these. So that was my day again today. That was my day today, and that was how I wanted to sort of tie the old video that we made about the footpaths that just stop with footpaths that kind of just vanish. So that's the next clickbait title, Hedley. Footpaths that vanish.
I can take that probably a stage further.
Oh, please do. Yeah, please do.
Double check on this. How would you like a video called Footpaths That Don't Exist?
Oh,
so
let me get my pen out, Hedley. I need to write this down.
Well, these might be harder to find, but I think I've got one. Hang on a minute.
Well, so is it all in the same notion? Is it? Is that the?
It's right. I'm just going to where I was today. Lowry Hill. Yes, bingo.
Oh, I like this. Right. Okay.
Right. So
Lowry Hill.
Right. Can you find Lowry Hill on? This might take a minute.
Right. Lowry Hill.
So you have to look for.
No, I can't because it's taking me to Northampton. That's not good.
Okay. Look for Blueberry. Blewbury.
Say again. Blueberry as in the colour blue.
Yeah. BLEW. BURY.
Nope.
Okay.
Give me a town. Give me a town or something.
How about Didcot?
Didcot. I can find Didcot. I know Didcot well. Right. We used to train spot in Didcot. I probably told you that.
Were you one of those on the end of the platform with the slightly nasal voice in the notebook?
That was me with my binoculars, looking back towards the power station.
They're a funny lot. They're a funny lot. It's like I have to say, I was standing. I think I've said this before. I was standing on the platform one day at Didcot, and there's this collective now. I'm not going to come up with one of train spotters at the end of the platform, all with their nasal voices and their ring-bound notebooks, writing stuff down in pencils and stuff, and everyone on the platform was amazed because I'm sure it was the Flying Scotsman charging through Didcot station, tooting its horn. I was amazed. It was a beautiful dark, I think it was dark blue, and it was just a beautiful train. None of them on the end of the platform with their notebooks batted an eyelid. They all just carried on their notebooks, and that's the Flying Scotsman. And then you had this dirty old intercity train pull into the platform, which is the one I was getting on to London, and they were like, 47392, I haven't seen that since Paynton in Devon in 1998. Seriously.
Wonderful.
Right, find Didcot.
Bring back some memories, that does. I could tell. Yeah. Right, let's have a look. I am on Bing Maps and I am at Didcot as we speak, train spotting. And I can see...
get away from the railway. So to the south of Didcot, you got Blueberry.
Oh, Blueberry, yes.
Yeah. So can you see the sort of the junction where there's a road? Let me get this right before I mess this up. Okay. So Lowry Hill is to the south of Blueberry. So look about 1.5 miles, 2 miles south of Blueberry, you'll see Lowry Hill. And on the OS map, I got it. Just above where it says Lowry Hill, it says Aston Upthorpe Downs. Yeah?
Yes, got that too, yeah.
Right. So what you've got there are two footpaths curving round, okay? So the inner one, the one that's closest to Lowry Hill, is a footpath that exists. If you go in a bit further, so they turn green. So the solid line one exists. That's a defined footpath. Okay. It takes you up and down the hill, and you can see public access areas either side. Yeah. The one that's got the crosses, there's not even a hint, not even a sign of a footpath there. It's basically a grass field you can't get to because it's actually gallops. It doesn't exist, that path. And I've been there and looked. I don't think it's ever existed. You can't, if you go to either end of it or send the drone up and look from above, it's just gallops. It's just a grass field. And I really don't know. I'm wondering if that is one of those OS map things that you were on about before, where it's to copyright it. There's just no footpath or any sign of footpath there at all. Well, the only way to do it, where is that? Are we in Berkshire? You're actually in current day Oxfordshire. Right, so the county boundary is down at Lowry Hill. Oh, okay, so we're very close to it. Well, the only way you could do that is have a look at the definitive maps. If you went to the Oxfordshire definitive map, I don't know if they're online or not, Wiltshire is. Yeah. The Oxfordshire definitive map, that would tell you if that is actually a thing or not. Okay. Well, I will look at that for next
Yeah, well, there's a mystery.
next episode, because obviously it's going to take me a while
Should
to
be
do that
there.
now. And
Yeah,
doesn't
oh,
make for good listening, does it? Just clicking on a keyboard. So cool.
Like
Do you
it.
want me to come on to my topic then?
Yeah, shall we? Shall we?
Right, shall we? So let's
we shall.
play this game, Paul. Let's find Hedley's topic. So go to Bing Maps,
Right.
or zoom out rather,
Yep.
and look at the south of England, sort of Wessex area,
Yeah.
and then tell me a town, and I'll say hot or cold.
Okay, right. Okay, so I'm gonna. I wonder where the centre of Wessex is.
Don't
Let's start with Winchester. Let's start with the capital, Winchester.
Okay, so I will say cold.
Cold. Right. Well, I'm going to head north then, Hedley. I'm going to head north along the London and South Western Railway, built in 1840, and I'm just heading north past Waller's Ash Tunnel, where there was a collapse of the shaft number 1 at the southern end, and there was an inquest into the death of a lot of navvies, and the chap said, the judge said to the jurors, "Are you sure you're capable of doing this? Because it's quite gruesome."
Sutton, Scotland, you're still cold.
I'm using railways to navigate.
Let's
Is that
make it
acceptable?
easier for you. It's to the west. It's to the west.
Okay, to the west. All right.
Yeah.
I wanna almost take the rails on this journey, Hedley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the Didcot, Newbury, and Southampton Railway up to Newbury.
Oh,
So then
yeah.
I can head west. Is that
okay?
acceptable?
Go west. Yeah, go west.
Right. So we're now in Newbury, and I'm going to head west along the Berkshire and Hampshire Extension Railway, and I'm nearing Hungerford now. Hedley, should I stop in Hungerford?
Oh, you're
for a
getting
second?
warmer. You're getting
Yeah.
a little bit warmer. Not much, a little bit. You need to get a lot warmer than that, though.
Okay, all right. Well, what I might do is I might disembark the train at Great Bedwin, and perhaps get on some kind of old coach.
This is a bad game.
This is a fun game, Hedley. I'm enjoying myself.
Okay, if you're enjoying it, then yeah. Okay. Right.
Right. Well, I've got off the train at Great Bedwin, and I'm heading on a coach through Savernake Forest, the oldest privately owned ancient.
Okay, you're
woodland.
getting warmer. You're getting warmer.
Yeah, I get warmer. It's brilliant. Well,
You're getting warmer. Yeah.
all right. Well, now
Probably would be quicker to actually make this journey than describe it, but yes, you're getting warmer.
right.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we're up on the Marlborough Downs now. We're in stone country. We're in the Sarsen stone country.
Oh, you're getting warmer, but you're still quite cold. You're going to have
Really?
to try better than that, yeah.
Am I still heading west?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Right. Well, I'm going to take a
Make a big leap. Make a big leap west.
All right. Well, I've made a big leap west now, and I'm now kind of where are we? I can't even find any town here whatsoever. I'm almost up towards Malmesbury. Have I gone too far?
I think no, you haven't. Well, in one sense, but I think shall I put you out of your
well, give
misery?
it. Is there any clues so we can?
Okay,
yeah.
okay. You need to strap turbochargers
Oh, I
to
see. Okay,
your
right.
spaceship. You need to really head west. You
Oh,
need
God,
to zoom
right.
out of the map, and yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, I've zoomed out, and I'm am I heading
This
towards
must be
sort of?
painful for the listeners that know what this
That's
is.
what the title of the video is. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I mean, am I talking sort of? Let's have a look on the borders. Are we talking like the Severn Estuary? Are we Stroud?
Oh yeah,
right.
further west.
Right. Well, I am right up there. I'm almost at the start of Offers Dyke.
Oh, you need to go southwest.
Okay, southwest.
But
right.
do it take a big leap. Take
Right.
about an 80-mile leap.
Oh my goodness me! All right. Well, I'm coming.
Wessex was a big place.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Oh, okay. Are we? I mean, I mind. Should I be near the Mendips?
I think you need to go further west.
Okay. I mean, I'm almost in North Devon at the moment. Nearly.
Oh yeah, now you're getting warmer. Now you're getting warmer.
Now it makes sense, Hedley. You know, me messing around on the blooming London and South Western Railway, heading up there, up that tunnel. Okay. All right. I'm still heading along the north coast of Devon now.
You are.
Right.
Keep going along the north coast of Devon. In fact,
Ooh.
go along the north coast of Devon and don't stop.
Okay. Oh well, I mean, I'm in. Well, technically, I'm in Cornwall. If I don't stop.
Oh, you might have gone a bit far there.
Okay.
But crucially, you don't want to be on the mainland.
Oh. Lundy
Island.
Oh, wow.
Now, there was a bit of a discussion earlier whether Lundy was in Wessex or not. So,
Right.
Lundy Island. Have you ever been?
No.
Oh,
No, I haven't.
you've got such a good video to make there. Lundy Island.
Yeah.
Right. Lundy Island is an island that I know very well. As a teenager, I spent a lot of time there. And if
Yep.
you zoom in on Lundy Island on an OS map,
Yep.
you'll get a beautiful map. A really, really beautiful map of the island
I mean,
itself.
You're
This
selling
is worth
it, Eddie,
putting on the
but
screen.
the visual isn't as good as what you're selling it as, because I can just see a thin strip of land with one contour and a lot of cliffs.
Zoom in. Zoom in.
Oh, okay. That's better. That's better.
There you go.
Yeah, you didn't say 1 to 25,000.
There we go. So Lundy Island, as you can see, is 3 miles long from north to south.
Yep.
Half a mile wide, east to west. It's 11 miles from Heartland Point, which is the closest bit of land.
Yeah.
To get there, you need to go on the MS Oldenburg. It's a 2.5 hour journey out from Ilfracombe or Bideford.
Wow.
It's a wonderful place. It's wonderful. So I used to work there when I was a teenager. I had a friend called Charlie, whose family history is from Lundy.
Yeah.
And he used to work there, and he introduced me to it. I'd always had this fascination about it, and you could get on the boat. There's no mobile signal. There's nothing like that out there.
Yeah.
You go out. There's a bar on the boat for nowadays, and you see Lundy appear like a ship in the mist after you've been on the boat for a while. So Lundy is shaped a little bit like a thin version of Britain in a way. Mm-hmm. So if you imagine where things would be in Great Britain, so the north is very rocky and hilly as Scotland. The south is very green, and the Midlands is kind of hilly, a lot of heather and bracken, sort of halfway between the two. Where London would be on a map of Britain, in the southeast, you've got the village. And when I say the village, I mean 19 residents, no vehicles other than farm vehicles. Yeah. You've got a lighthouse at either end. You've got the North Light and the South Light.
Yeah.
The island itself rises about 400 feet out of the sea, so it's surrounded by cliffs, but the top is fairly flat.
Yes.
Boy, do you get wind, because you're on the dividing line of the Atlantic and the Bristol Channel here.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. So they started, let's have a look, where shall I start with this? So let's start with the lighthouses. So what they used to rely on, they had a lot of crashes there. So ships would come up the Bristol Channel to go to places like Avonmouth. They didn't know about Lundy. What they would do is they would just basically crash into it. And down at the southwest point, you can see something that says Shutter Point.
Oh, I'll come back out then. We'll have a look at that.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
So southwest of corner of the island, there's Shutter Point, and a very large ship called, why do I not know this off the top of my head? HMS Montague, that's it, struck Shutter Point and started sinking. And so all the locals clambered down to it and did what needed to be done, i.e. pillage everything on the ship and then bring it up and hang it in the pub. So you've got the steering wheel to the ship and everything in the pub, as you can imagine. Now, Lundy is fairly self-sustaining. They do have stuff come over on the ferry on the Oldenburg, and they've got a small shop there. Very expensive, obviously, no competition. But they've also got a pub, thankfully, called the Morisco Tavern. And I took my friend on his stag night there not long ago. He wanted a stag night that was very different, and I did exactly the same as I did with you. Didn't tell him where we were going, and I just drove, and he was eliminating places as we went along, which was quite cool. So the actual boat that takes you out there, the Oldenburg, back when they changed, they introduced this boat. Somebody representing Lundy went over to Germany to buy the boat, and there was the Oldenburg and her sister ship. Now, one of them was a seafaring vessel, and one of them was a flat-bottomed riverboat. And essentially paperwork done, celebrations done. The guy came back with the wrong one. So what we now have is a flat-bottomed riverboat that takes you out to Lundy, and my God, when it's rough, do you know it?
Yeah.
It's basically like a rubber duck on a bathtub. You know, it's really susceptible to wind. So because of these crashes, they built the old light up on Beacon Hill. So if you've got the map up, you can see the highest point of the island is near the south, but it's up a little bit, and it says Beacon Hill. And they built what they were prized. What they prized up there was their new lighthouse. It was a huge lighthouse, which is now called the Old Light, and it was on the highest point of the island, which they were very proud of and thought this will stop ships crashing into the island. However, if you build a 150-foot lighthouse on top of a 450-foot hill,
it's going to
probably see where this is going.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
What actually happened is, from a ship level, you can't see it. It's above you, and so they, to try and make things better, they created a battery at the bottom. So they had the lighthouse and a battery which would fire cannons out to sea. But then you've got ships that are confused, don't know where they are, and think they're being fired upon. So when things got worse, they decided to can the Old Light and build a proper lighthouse, manned lighthouses at the north and south point with proper foghorns.
Oh, wow. Lovely story.
The Old Light itself, you can rent out as a holiday place. You can stay in it. My friend's dad used to live in it, in fact. And what you can do for people visiting, they can climb up to the top, if you've got a head for heights, that is, because it's... We did it when we were drunk. I don't recommend it. And at the top, it's all round... Obviously, glass all the way around, and a couple of deck chairs at the top.
Yeah,
where you can sit there having a beer.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now.
Brilliant.
I'm looking at them now.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Very noisy with the wind, but really, really good. We actually went up there with my friend, and when we were up there drinking, we were shouting at the people who were on a day trip that the Oldenburg was leaving when it wasn't, and you saw lots of people running across the island trying to catch a ship that wasn't actually going anywhere. So they've got a campsite on the island. You can rent out different properties. You've got, obviously, there's an old castle. So if you look down towards the landing beach, just above that, you've got a castle that's a load of properties.
Yeah.
You've got St Helena's Church to the north of that, which is a beautiful old stone church. A lot of people get married there. And PH above that is the public house, which is the Morisco Tavern. And there's like a laundry opposite. Beautiful village, and you can rent out barns. The campsite is really worth staying at. I stayed there with my dad and my friend once, and there was a really bad storm, and all of our tents were blown down except mine. And I remember looking out, and the moon was out, but it was a really, very bad windstorm, and I could see the outline of my friend's tent had gone, so it collapsed. And then I saw a torch flashing at me from the toilet block, so I got dressed and ran over there. And I went in there, and there was my dad, and this was about 4:00 in the morning. There was my dad and about 10 other people who had had their tents collapsed. And they were all shivering. They all huddled up together, and I forgot to tell them that the Morisco Tavern is actually always open, and there's blankets in there. I should have told them that before the storm. So there's that. Let's have a look.
So the harbour... Obviously, that's the only place the boat lands because of the nature of the island, I guess.
Yeah. So if you look at the island, again, just for people who aren't looking at this on YouTube, it's long from north to south.
Yeah.
So you have a westerly prevailing wind. So the west coast is very, very rocky. It's all limestone, and it's all craggy, and there's beautiful, you see the waves smashing into the rocks down below. And there's actually the Devil's Slide, which is the longest bit of limestone in the UK, which is a climbing hotspot. Now the eastern side of the island is beautiful kind of vegetation. It's ferns, it's in fact in areas there's trees and little ponds, and it's very sheltered. Now, Lundy itself, around the whole island, is a marine nature reserve for about a mile in every direction. It's a protected seabed with it's a triple SI as well. But yeah, you're right. The landing beach, or it's actually called the landing bay, just by Mouse Island and Rat Island there, is the protected area, and that's where the Oldenburg ropes up. And that was one of my jobs, was to rope the ship up.
Okay.
And you had these massive ropes, and I remember one day the rope went tight and snapped, and it's like a gun going off. It's a horrific noise. But I used to take people out. We used to go on the boats and look at the basking sharks that are there, which is absolutely amazing. You see these shadows travelling through the water. And I did all other sort of jobs. I helped rehang the church bells. I did strimming, dry stone walling, that sort of stuff. And it was just a great way to spend, time when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
And at night, so if you can't see the mainland during the day, at night, you can see all the lights along the north coast of Devon down to Cornwall, and then to the north you can see Swansea and Wales and all of that. But it's very, very dark. They've only got one generator on the island. They used to have a wind generator, but that's gone. But the generator on the islands is turned off. I can't remember what time. It's like 10 or something in the evening. Yeah. And so basically the island goes dark with the exception of the pub, which is open all night. And it's just absolutely wonderful. You've got, as I say, you haven't really got any. Last time I was there's no mobile phone signal. There's certainly no TVs available on the island. Yeah. There's an emergency phone, so you can get a helicopter in if there's an accident. But to be honest with you, it takes even though the island's not very long, it takes a whole day to walk around it because the paths go in and out. And, and you see seals up at where it says hen and chickens at the top. That's where seals gather, and you can go down to the water and see them there. Yeah. If anyone decides to do that, be careful of the steps and don't go down there in the wet.
And what side's that on the north side? Did you say?
The north side, yeah. So that's a long way from the south, and it does take an entire day to walk around it. Now it's separated by 3 walls, so in the middle there's a wall that goes right across where it says Jenny's Cove. It goes across there, which is called the halfway wall, and then halfway between there and the south you've got the quarter wall, and then at the top you've got the 3/4 wall. So the island's divided essentially into four bits. Now the second highest point on the island is called Tibbets, and it's 2/3 of the way up the island, just between the halfway and the 3/4 wall. That is a little cottage you can rent out. It's tiny. It's one room, which has got like a bed and a sofa and somewhere to cook in. But it's got no electricity whatsoever.
Oh, I'm inside. We're inside it, Hedley. We're inside it.
You're inside it. Yeah, can you see?
Somebody. Well, there's 2 people that have taken photos all around them, and they put them on Google Maps. So the beauty of it, as you're talking, I'm trying to keep up, and on the YouTube channel, no, you get it's perfect. On the YouTube channel, people will be able to see exactly what we're looking at, and what a wonderful little hut that is.
So it is. It's inside. It's all kind of wood panelled. And you've got literally in there. You've got a table, you've got a sofa, and I think there's a fireplace, obviously, and then the other end you've got bunk beds, and that's it.
There's a GoPro, and there's a cup of coffee and a box of matches as well.
I don't think they're included, the GoPro. I don't think that's included. But it's wonderful. It's surrounded by a wall.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it is phenomenal. I mean, it is without being up on the top of a mountain, that is pretty much as remote and difficult to get to as you can get a place to stay.
Yeah, it's got like a circled stone wall around it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a protective wall. Yeah.
Oh, it's a protective wall, is it?
Yeah, it's got a different. It's not called Tibbets anymore. I've forgotten what it's called. I think they called it the Lookout. So the island is maintained by the Landmark Trust, and therefore, I think owned by. It's either English Heritage or National Trust. I can't remember, but Landmark Trust basically maintain it, and obviously there's no drone flying allowed there because it's the whole place is a big nature reserve. So. Much as I'd like to go there and get some amazing aerial shots, that's not really going to happen, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So, But anyway, that is Lundy Island. And if you like a clear sky with stars, there's no better place.
They've got, no light pollution whatsoever, I guess, is it?
Yeah. And it's a great place to go. When I went once on a visit, I was a teenager. I'd failed a couple of exams at school. My grandma had died. I was in a really bad way. My head needed clearing. And you get on the boat to go out there. And then once you're on that boat and you go out there, there's nothing you can do about any of that. That's it. There's no mobile signal. So you go out there oblivious to the news, oblivious to whatever's happening with friends and family. All that you can concentrate is what's on the island itself. You get lovely meals down the tavern in the evening, which most of the stuff is actually made on the island. So, you know, the beef is reared there, and the beer, the old light beer. Oh, God. When I was young, they'd have an honesty dish, so you could drop, you know, coins in it to pay for your own beers after the landlord's gone. And I got playing the piano in there. I was playing piano, and people were basically buying me beer all night. So I had a couple of free nights in there. But it's a wonderful place. And once the Oldenburg holds 250 people, so if you're staying on the island, when you first get there, it's crowded. People are walking up. You know, you've got to have some good physical fitness, but walk up the path to the top. But then when the Oldenburg goes in the afternoon, the whole place suddenly becomes quiet. Really, really quiet. It's just a great place.
I'm looking at some abandoned ruins as well. On the same side, the east side, there's some like abandoned houses.
So they're quarry houses.
Oh, they're right. Okay.
There used to be slate quarries up the eastern side. So they were the quarrymen's cottages. I mean, it's stuff. When I went there, I was there with two older chaps who are friends of mine, and we suddenly went from being three grumpy old men to being, you know, it's like the famous 5 minus 2. We were just discovering the place, and there was this rope going down. There's this steep drop down to a beach on the eastern side. We really shouldn't have done this, but to help you down there was a rope, and the rope must have been about 15 plus years old. And it was like, do we trust this? And so we used it to kind of abseil down, and luckily made it. But
there's another little hut as well there. I tell you what, I bet there's loads of little hidden things, little hidden gems. Because
there's a lot of controversy as well. Because when I was there was a bit of controversy with. I hope he didn't listen to this. The island's president. So again, there was this. I'll say now, I'm not going to mention his name. He was a really great bloke. He was a really, really good bloke, and he knew what he was doing. But he was caught in the church with the new Irish redhead barmaid there. And of course, he's on the island and married and everything. And it somehow leaked to the Daily Telegraph, and it became a big thing, you know. But it's not the sort of place you want to do anything controversial, because it would get around the island like a shot.
You said only 19 inhabitants, or
when I was there, 19 permanent inhabitants, and they live in cottages in the village itself.
Wow.
But wonderful place, and anyone listening to this, if you get the chance, go to Lundy in the summer. Not any time there's a lot of wind.
No. Look at that.
And Lundy, the name Lundy is actually Norse for Puffin Island. So it's not called Lundy Island, because then it would be Puffin Island. But so I just call it Lundy.
So you could fly there as well, I guess. Lundy Island Airfield.
Well, you with all your flipping YouTube income, you could rent a helicopter and go out there. But for us paupers, we can pay our 50 quid or whatever it is and go out on the boat.
2.5 hours, Eddie. That's a long boat ride, isn't it?
James May from Top Gear fame recently did a video where he was trying to build a glider, drop it from it was going to be a hot air balloon, but they didn't use that in the end. Drop it from a helicopter, and then try and cross the English Channel on it. But because they couldn't do it, because the French wouldn't allow it, and it contravened some kind of model aircraft regulations here. So instead they flew it from above Ilfracombe out to Lundy Island, and I won't say whether or not it made it, but it's a great video. Wow. I've got you intrigued now, haven't I?
I used to just do this. It reminds me of times I used to just sit on Google Maps and just find somewhere I've never seen, wherever it is in the world, and just look at what the pictures of people were taking. And I love doing that. I love doing that with used to do that a lot with Faroe Islands. I would love to go to Faroe Islands again. You'd probably have to go in the summer, wouldn't you? Really? But I'm almost fascinated by all the tunnels on the Faroe Islands. as a complete sort of scary yet intriguing thing. And it reminds me of sort of that, actually, looking at Lundy.
It's something about it. Something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that was a lovely tour, Hedley. I spent all that time looking on Google Maps trying to fill in all the little pictures of where you were talking about, including that little hut. Yeah. Wonderful. Love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. That's me done.
I mean, we took a while for me to physically get there.
Yeah, we might have to shorten that part of the podcast.
I think there's.
We have to put in a disclaimer. It gets better. Yeah. No, just kidding.
Well, there's your there's a little gap in between for sure. A little bit of editing maybe needs to be done there. Yeah. Very enjoyable. Well, what else have we got to say, Ellie? What else have we got to say? I haven't got too many more notes really on anything exciting.
I just want to spread these podcasts out and try and get them out there, and get more people involved in discussion, so we get more. Any of you listening, send us your suggestions. We're both on Twitter, Hedley Thorne, Paul Whitewick. Send us your suggestions for topics to cover or any mysteries, and spread the word about the podcast. Let's get people involved.
Oh, I'll tell you what I'll do. Speaking of mysteries, that just popped into my head. I will leave the podcast with one mystery. It's probably not a mystery. Somebody probably knows the answer, which is the whole point. Why was Caliva Arbitorium, or whatever it's called, Silchester, the Roman town of Silchester, why was that not continued to be inhabited? Why is it not inhabited today? Every other place you think of, Cirencester, Chichester, Dorchester, all continued to be inhabited, and they are towns or cities in their modern form today. Why did Silchester not remain inhabited?
Let us know below if you know.
Yeah, there's a question. It'll be a video at some point, I'm sure, but
it will be. Okay. Enjoyed it, Paul.
Yep, super stuff. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for
cheers, everyone.
Watching, listening, whatever you do, and share the podcast, as Hedley said, so we can reach some more people. We'll see you next week, or whenever. Not next week.
Whenever. We'll try. Cheers.